Welcome back to my channel. I'm James, and today we're going to be talking about and discussing a special release by Shout and Scream Factory and the previous release of Studio Canals. And this is one of those great, like, sci-fi, classic, just really one of those films that has just grown so huge in cult status over the years. So I'm excited to announce we're going to deep dive into Escape from New York 4K Ultra HD Collector's Edition from Scream Factory, Shout Factory. And this is the brand new 4K Ultra HD release here that just came out within the last week. Now, as most of you know that have followed me here on this YouTube channel, this is a special video for all of you. I put it out for a vote for all of you to decide what I was going to do, and this was the one that got the most votes. And so this one I actually opened, unboxed, did all my exclusive testing on this, and we're going to be comparing this 4K Ultra HD to the Studio Canal 4K Ultra HD release that I previously owned already before. I'm going to be doing my exclusive 4K versus 4K image comparisons, go down through the differences between each of these sets, and then sum it up at the end and let you know which one is the winner and which one is the one you should buy and upgrade to. Now, this is a very special video because this is something that I don't do very often. If I previously owned a 4K Ultra HD release, I definitely don't go out and buy another copy of the same 4K movie, but this was something that I decided that if all of you supported this enough, that I would do this review for all of you. So this is something new and exciting we're gonna dive into today as a face-off battle between these two releases to see which one comes out on top. Now, as always, I will have the links for this Scream Shout Factory 4K Ultra HD release of Escape from New York listed down in the description section right below this video and as a pinned comment. I will also have the Studio Canal 4K Ultra HD releases that are available listed down there as well. And those will be the direct links from Amazon. So if after you get done watching this video, once you see my review score and which one's the winner, you can then go down to the description section or as a pinned comment in the comment section below. Click through that link. I've made it nice and easy for you. It takes you straight out to Amazon. And that does help support this YouTube channel just a tiny bit at no extra cost to you. So make sure if you decide after watching this video that you are going to pick up either of these releases and add them to your collection, make sure to click through one of those links down below. Now, touching on something that's very important for all of you to understand when I'm diving into these here. For you to get the most value from this video, to understand the best representation of what you're going to see in the image comparisons and things like that, you're going to want to watch this video on a 4K Ultra HD display, monitor, TV. That way you get the most out of this video. I have gotten some comments from people saying I've watched 4K videos that you release on like a 720p display or a 1080p display, and it kind of doesn't make a lot of sense, because if you're watching a 4K Ultra HD video that's recorded in 4K and uploaded in 4K with standard HDR, you're not getting the benefits of what that review and that in-depth comparison is doing. So just keep that in mind. To get the best and most out of this video, you're going to want to make sure you're watching this video on some sort of 4K high-end display, so that way you kind of can see a lot of what we're talking about here. But I will also touch on the screenshots we're going to go through here in just a second when I'm talking about that. Those are uploaded in standard HDR. Now we're going to start off with showing you the Studio Canal screenshot above. This is the Studio Canal image presentation, the unfiltered image, which means, just like I've explained before, what you see above is without all of the like color saturation, and if your TV is not calibrated, which I've talked about that a lot as well. All of my TVs are professionally calibrated, but when I do these image presentations, these are taking the raw data that's on these discs without, like, if somebody has their color cranked all the way up to 100 or has their contrast cranked all the way up to 100 or all the way down, whatever the case is, on every TV you can adjust certain levels to change the image. The image you see here is just the standard image that's present on the discs on here without all of those basically things that can affect your image on your home TV. Now I'm going to show you a comparison image, what you see above, of the new Shout Factory 4K Ultra HD Collector's Edition release. Now, you've probably noticed right off of the bat, it's not as drastic a difference as maybe what you would have between a Blu Ray and a 4K release, and that's correct. Though there are quite a few differences I discovered when going through all of my exclusive testing. And we're going to get into that here and talk about that. But on the images you're seeing above, the images on a lot of these did look pretty similar, because you have to remember, what Shout Factory is working with is the Studio Canal's 4K restoration that was approved and everything like that. So basically Shout Factory took that, what Studio Canal already did, and did some slight tweaks, added some slight things to it, and did change some things here. Now to start off with some of the differences. In the original Studio Canal 4K Ultra HD release on this new 4K restoration, they released inside this set on the 4K Ultra HD disc is a BD66. Now on the Shout Factory Escape from New York Collector's Edition set here that was just released, they released this one on the 4K Ultra HD disc on a BD100. Now, for a lot of us that are cinephiles or collect these 4K Ultra HD discs and collector sets, that does usually mean that they had to put it on a larger disc because they did have a higher average bitrate. Well, I do have some exciting news for all of you. I did exclusively test both of the discs between the two sets. On the Escape from New York from the Scream Factory release, you're looking at roughly a 76.39 average megabits per second on this release. Now to give you a comparison, on the BD66 that's on the 4K Ultra HD release of the Studio Canal's original release, that had an average bitrate of right around 50.81 megabits per second. That's a big difference. So there are some things that kind of led to, when I was testing all of this, that kind of showed the differences between kind of what Scream Factory did with it versus what Studio Canal did, and kind of the little touch-ups and little things they did that kind of do make a difference overall as we're going through this. So I did think that was some interesting information I wanted to share with all of you, because I know that's something that for me, it does make a difference when you're watching on a high-end TV, especially because I use a Panasonic UB820. That's my preferred player. That is my reference player I love watching everything on. Dolby Vision, HDR10, HDR10 Plus, it doesn't matter. That's the player I play on everything. And I have two of them for both of my main TVs that I use. So I'm always watching most of the things on that to see what the best quality is between it. And it did make a difference playthrough wise, and I'll explain what I mean by that. On the Studio Canal 4K Ultra HD release, there was some things in the image that had some slight fluctuations throughout the film. There were some scenes that just kind of vibrated and fluctuated just a little bit throughout it. They were brief, they weren't so heavy that it ever affected my original review score so bad that I said, hey, it was horrible. I didn't. And I originally reviewed this release way back several years ago when it first came out. And I enjoyed it. And we'll get to the review score of what I gave this originally when we get to the end here. But I did enjoy it. But there was some slight fluctuations throughout that weren't like end of the world, like so horrible. They're just things you noticed. And I was curious because of that, and I remembered when I watched it, would those be present on the new Shout Factory 4K Ultra HD? Well, because of the higher bitrate, and I just feel like they touched some things up, both between the HDR10 representation and the Dolby Vision. Didn't matter which one I played it through. Those fluctuations were gone on the new Shout Scream Factory release. So I know that might not seem to some of you such a huge thing. And if you're really watching on a really tiny 4K TV, not something that's a really high-end 4K TV, you might not have noticed it that much, especially depending on how far away you're sitting. And that's one of those things I talked about many times over the year as well. Sometimes, depending on your depth between you and the TV, how far away you are, size of your TV, quality of your TV, that can affect sometimes if you see some of the fluctuations, the heavy grain fluctuations, the issues. Some people don't notice DNR because their TV's so small and so far away, they can't tell the difference between whether it has grain, whether it doesn't have grain. Well, in this case, they didn't change any of that and take out the grain that was originally present. It has all the natural film grain. There's no DNR done to it. So Shout Factory mostly just kind of tweaked some of the little bits of errors or things like that fluctuation that was present in the original Studio Canal release. Just like putting this on a BD100, giving it a higher bitrate, those things did help the image just be more stable overall throughout the entire film. Now, there is something else I'm going to touch on about this Shout Factory release. Now, I'm going to show you an image above that has whites in it. Now, the reason I'm showing you this is there was some slight differences in image quality that was very, very slight. But as I did all of my testing through this, I wanted to share every little thing that I did notice when going through this comparison for all of you. Now, on the Shout Factory, it had very vibrant and I call it more detailed whites in the sense of the Studio Canal release just slightly had a pinkish and slightly orange tone to some of the whites throughout the film. It was not heavy. It was not something like some of those that I've reviewed where it was like a dark yellow, a dark orange, a dark pink, things like that. It's just very slight. So in that image above between the Studio Canal release and this new Shout Factory, the whites, to my eye and to the testing when I went through it, setting them side by side, were just slightly better on the Shout Factory release over the Studio Canal. And I don't know if that has to do with whether all of the adjustments they did, there was just slight little things that they tweaked to where the whites were more white and didn't have that just slightly pinkish and slightly orangish in slight areas. And it's not horrible throughout it. The Studio Canal was still good looking. But I'm just pointing out the little things that I noticed, being nitpicky. It just was nice on the Shout Factory release that it just was with the whites a little bit more pure white, truer white, just slightly. So that was something that was a little bit nice as well. If you enjoy this video and this video helps you out at all, I know I've explained this a lot over the years, but the only way I'm supported and the only way I can continue to create all these videos with all this exclusive comparisons, just like with this release, it wasn't sent for me for a review. I had to go out and buy this for all of you. I originally owned the Studio Canal release, but I did this for all of you. So if you enjoy this video and you enjoy all of the hard work I put behind all of these videos for all of you, please make sure to give a super thanks or a donation through the PayPal donate link below. Even if each one of you can only give a couple of dollars on each video, that does help out and helps me to be able to keep affording to pay for all of the software to get these image comparisons off of, to buy the things just like this, to be able to do these comparisons for all of you, especially because just like with this one, I wasn't planning on buying another copy of Escape from New York because I didn't need it, but I did it for all of you. So make sure to give a donation through the super thanks button down below or through the PayPal donate link button that's down in the description section below. This button for super thanks is always right below each video. It's a symbol just like this, and you click on that. It allows you to give a tip of any denomination, so that way, no matter where you are worldwide, anything you donate goes straight back into this YouTube channel and helps to support this channel so I can keep creating all of this for all of you. Also, if you're going to pick up either of these releases after my review is done, make sure to go down to the link I put down in the description section or as a pinned comment in the comment section below. It takes you straight out to Amazon, and I've made it nice and easy for all of you. Make sure to give this video a like and a thumbs up for me. Make sure to give a like and a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button and the bell notification. That way you're always notified every single time I release any of this new content, exclusive content, or any of these videos. Now, talking about the 4K discs in this is a region-free 4K disc. On the Studio Canal, it's a region-free 4K disc as well. Talking about the Blu-rays in both of these sets, so talking about the head-to-head between these, the Blu-rays on both of these are region-locked to their countries. What that means is the bonus Blu-ray discs that are in both of these sets, Studio Canal's release is region B locked. Shout Factory's Blu-rays in this set are region A locked. So in that case, there wasn't one up on either of these. Neither one of these, the extra Blu-ray discs in here, they have the special features. Neither one of these have a region-free Blu-ray. It's only the 4K Ultra HD discs that are in these sets that are region-free. But I will touch on that here for just a second about the Blu-ray discs. In this new Shout Factory release, the Blu-ray disc that is in here is the brand new restoration of the 4K Ultra HD on the Blu-ray disc as well. Now, talking about audio quality wise between the Shout Factory release and the Studio Canal, there is some big differences there. This was one of the biggest differences in my opinion that made the Shout Factory really stand out as a big change and an upgrade over the Studio Canal. Now, this one did come with Dolby Atmos, and this is a brand new Dolby Atmos mix that Shout Factory did for their own release that is not present on any of the Studio Canal releases anywhere worldwide. So, another big upgrade we got on this was a Dolby Atmos. Another big thing we got on the Shout Factory is they did a newly restored original stereo track for this new 4K Ultra HD. So you get two new audio options that were never present on the Studio Canal release. And I will tell you, I thought the Dolby Atmos mix added a nice element to this that the DTS HD Master Audio 5.1 that they had in the Studio Canal simply didn't have. And I'll touch on that audio mix in the Studio Canal here for a second. On Studio Canal's release, it did have kind of a more soft and muddled audio mix throughout the movie. And here's what I mean. There was numerous scenes where there'd be like some action, you were trying to listen to the person talk, and you did have to strain just slightly more than normal in some films that I did notice in it. In comparison to this with, for example, the Dolby Atmos was what I really enjoyed. Now, some of you might enjoy the new restored audio mix that they did for this. It's up to you what you enjoy, but both of them were quite a bit more clear and crisp and easier to understand than anything that the Studio Canal release had on it originally. I really thought the audio mix was probably one of the biggest upgrades I noticed, other than the smaller things I was talking image-wise. Bitrate was a bigger one, but audio was huge. I mean, I really did enjoy the Atmos. Do I think it's as good as some of those reference Atmos like Moonfall or Dune that I've reviewed? No. It's not going to be. I mean, you have to remember they're working with limited based on the original audio mix, trying to move some things around the room. But it did add a pretty cool effect. I mean, listen to the sound when it comes in with the helicopters towards the beginning of the film. When you hear that and how they moved it around with the Atmos mix, it was kind of cool. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Maybe some of you think it's not as great as some of them. Maybe it was kind of a little bit more, hey, they had to move the audio around. But you know what? The fact that they did that and gave it that extra immersion really made Escape from New York, which I absolutely love as a film, just added to the element of the film that I was excited about it when I started hearing that. It actually made me smile because I've seen this film, I don't even know now. I think I've seen it like 12, I don't even know. I kind of lost track after time, but I've seen this film a lot of times. And I did like that Atmos mix. It made me excited, and it kind of got me to say, hey, this is something new for the film that makes this one of those worthwhile upgrades that I felt like that was a nice thing they did, both those audio mixes, and were a nice upgrade over the Studio Canal release. So because this was much easier to understand and hear in some of those more soft or muddled scenes of audio, that does make the audio mix on this much better overall. Talking about special features. On the Shout Factory release that they did of Escape from New York, it contains all of the special features that are on the Studio Canal release that was released worldwide included in this set. But the Shout Factory release has several more special features than what was ever included on the Studio Canal release. So the Shout Factory gets another big bonus for that. If you're wanting all of the special features you can possibly get, they are contained in the Shout Factory release that are not on the Studio Canal. So you do get a bunch more special features that are contained in this that make this a more worthwhile addition than even what the Studio Canal release was before. Now, when I originally reviewed this release of Escape from New York by Studio Canal, I did that about a year or two ago. When I originally reviewed this, I gave this a review score of a 9.1. And that was a very solid and good review score. But there was some things I did think that could have just slightly been improved. That's why it got a 9.1. And I do think that still holds very true to this day, just like with the little things I was talking about, just kind of talking about the whites and the audio and talking about obviously those little fluctuations. That's where that 9.1 came from originally. Well, to sum things up, on the Scream Factory release of Escape from New York, this release review score wise gets an overall review score of an outstanding 9.7. So compared to the Studio Canal's 9.1, this is the winner in the head-to-head and comes out on top by quite a little bit. There are some things that make this a worthwhile upgrade in my opinion that did just kind of surprise me. Like I talked about those whites and the audio mix, really I thought both those audio upgrades, especially with the restoration of the original one, those two things made a nice addition to the set. All of the special features being present in this set, plus a bunch of other ones, making this the ultimate set, another big thing. And them saying collector's edition, to be honest, Shout Factory and Scream Factory should just said Ultimate Edition, because I really do feel like after looking at them side by side, listening to them going back and forth, this one not having the little bits of fluctuations and them just tweaking a little bit of things to give this a better bitrate and overall just a better disc overall, this release definitely earned its 9.7, and this comes highly recommended that you pick up this edition of Escape from New York. That it was a nice surprise. Do I think that sometimes if you're watching on a smaller TV, you might not notice some of those little things I was talking about? Maybe. But for me, watching them on my calibrated displays and seeing them through the Panasonic UB820 and then sitting them side by side, going through the screenshots on the computer, going through all the sound effects, the talking, things like that, the audio mix was better on this. That made it just worthwhile. Now, if you don't own that Studio Canal at all, well then automatically pick this up because it's a great cult classic sci-fi film. I love Kurt Russell in it. I've talked about this film numerous times over the years, but as far as the film itself goes, Kurt Russell's Snake character is just so awesome, and I just think he's so under the radar. He doesn't do too much in it, but I think that's what added to the level of cool. And to be honest with you, as most of you know that watch my channel, I love synthwave music and I love synth scores. This has one of my favorite synth scores of all time. Still have the soundtrack, I still listen to it. I just think John Carpenter did an outstanding job with this film, and it's one of those films that holds up so well today, just has so much cool behind it. And it's one of those 1980s, just like RoboCop, that you love the characters in it and really adds to the great sci-fi genre of the 80s, and it's one of those you can't miss out on. Let me know in the comment section below what you thought about this comparison. If you were excited to find out about this Shout and Scream Factory release, and if it was something that you're excited now to add this to your collection, if you're going to pick this up and add this to your collection. Also, let me know if you own the Studio Canal release. I'm always curious if this is your first time upgrading, if this is something you owned something before like that Studio Canal. So make sure to start that conversation in the comment section below. I'm really curious to hear from all of you because I did a lot of work to go through and find the little differences to share what things I noticed throughout going side by side. So that way this is the most comprehensive side by side comparison between the two of these. So you know if you're the ultimate Escape from New York fan, which one of these you must own. And I'm telling you, the Escape from New York from Scream Factory comes out with that outstanding 9.7. It is a must buy that you need to add to your collection. So now that you're done watching this review, if you decide to pick this up and add this to your collection, make sure to go down to the description section below or as a pinned comment. Click on that link, it takes you straight out to Amazon. No matter what country you live in, that link is set up to go to each and every Amazon for each and every country based off of where you live. So when you click on that, I've done all the work for you. It takes you straight there. It'll ship it straight to your home, and that's at no extra cost to you. It's the same prices everywhere. And a lot of the times these Shout Factory releases really are never on sale anyways, but same prices, no additional charge. And that does help support this YouTube channel just a tiny bit. So make sure, if you're gonna pick it up, to click on that link. Also, don't forget to give this video a super thanks or a donation through the PayPal donate link below. As I said before, the only way I can continue to create all of these is through all of your support. Just like with this video, I went out and did this for all of you. So make sure to give a tip, a donation down below. That way I can continue to do these special videos, especially like doing these votes where, hey, if it's something you all want me to get, if I get enough support on these, I can continue to do all of these for all of you. So make sure to support this so I know this is something you enjoyed, so I can continue to do these votes, go out there and get special things and do special side-by-side, head-to-head comparisons like this. And at least it was worthwhile. I mean, I was kind of worried at first thinking there might be no differences, but it's nice that there was some that made it worthwhile. I hope all of you have a blessed day, and I've always got something new and exciting coming out very soon.